So often I find myself applying the term grotesque to the things that the Trump regime is doing. And what happened July 7th in MacArthur Park in Los Angeles is no exception. It was nothing short of a grotesque spectacle as ICE agents and National Guard troops who are being used as a pawn by Donald Trump were, according to the Associated Press, fanned out across a mostly empty Los Angeles park in a largely immigrant neighborhood. Military vehicles, law enforcement on horseback, heavily armed soldiers spread out throughout the park for about an hour and then abruptly left. Both the mayor of Los Angeles and Governor Gavin Newsom were appropriately outraged.
My comment is they need to leave, and they need to leave right now. They need to leave because this is unacceptable. Who did you speak with? Wait and see. Mayor Bass, they will be leaving soon.
Mayor Bass, who did you speak with on the phone just now? Who did you speak with on the phone?
I had a pistol.
Here you can see the subsequent post from Mayor Bass of Los Angeles. This is footage from today in MacArthur Park, minutes before there were more than 20 kids playing. Then the military comes through. So Mayor Bass immediately rolled up and said, "Get the fuck out of here." And as you saw in that video clip, law enforcement, ICE, the National Guard said that they would be leaving. And they did. They were only there for a little less than an hour. According to the Associated Press, Department of Homeland Security would not say whether anybody had been arrested during the brief operation. And they also would not respond to requests for comment about why the park had been targeted in the first place. It was the middle of a workday, y'all. Our hardworking immigrant neighbors are all at work on a Monday afternoon, earning an income, doing essential jobs, and paying their taxes. This was a spectacle, a grotesque spectacle. And Trump used 90 members of the California National Guard in that display today. He used 90 members of the California Guard as pawns for his political ends. Please understand why I'm intentionally using the repetition here. He used members of the California National Guard to intimidate Californians. He is using Californians against Californians. He is using neighbors against neighbors. He is turning Americans on Americans. He is using us to intimidate our fellow Americans. Please understand that is what is happening right now. Mayor Karen Bass said, "What I saw in the park today looked like a city under siege, an armed occupation." She said there were children attending a day camp in the park who had to be quickly ushered inside in order to avoid the troops. She heard an 8-year-old boy talk to her afterward and say he was fearful of ICE. Donald Trump is using Californians to intimidate little children at summer camp in the park. Is this your version of greatness? Is this greatness? Is this a display of power and prowess? Is this making America respected and great on the world stage? Is this making us more secure as a nation? Is this making you more economically prosperous? Is this improving your quality of life? The $150 billion we are spending on this bullshit? According to the mayor, homeless residents who were in the park at that time had guns pointed on them and were told by troops to get out of the park. They weren't doing anything illegal, just minding their own fucking business, and they have a weapon pointed in their face. Mayor Bass said, "The world needs to see the troop formation on horses walking through the park in search of what? In search of what? They're walking through an area where children play." City Councilor Hernandez, who represents that district, said it was chosen as the administration's latest target precisely because of who lives there and what that community represents. It represents the fact that America is a nation of immigrants, that California is more than 40% Latino immigrants. It was an intentional act of intimidation and a disgusting, grotesque waste of taxpayer dollars. How much of our taxpayer money was spent on this? Because it's not just the soldiers on horseback and the heavily armed ICE agents who were stomping through the park, intimidating little kids. It's not just the National Guard that has been called up, cannot go to their regular jobs, right? These are the citizen soldiers of the United States who are meant to be doing things like supporting the community and handing out supplies if there's a natural disaster, fighting wildfires. No, no, no. They've been forced to abandon their jobs, their real lives, to do shit like this. And are they still sleeping on concrete floors, still not having access to showers, still not having adequate food and water supplied to them? What kind of financial resources are going toward our citizen soldiers in the National Guard that are marching through this park, putting on this grotesque, I'll just keep saying it, grotesque display for Donald Trump? But even more than that, what preceded this was a show of intimidation on the streets as they ran a motorcade of armored cars through the city on their way to the park, and then had them parked flanking the park where little children were going to summer camp. I just want to remind you, what is it, $154 million of our taxpayer money is being used on the 4,000 California National Guard troops, and I think it's like 700 Marines that have been sent into Los Angeles. There is no rebellion happening there. There are no violent protests. There's nothing going on. People in Los Angeles are living their fucking lives. There's no reason for these guys to be here. So the Department of Homeland Security has to manufacture scenarios. They have to create spectacles like this one to justify wasting our taxpayer dollars on this kind of shit. There's no reason for this to be happening other than Trump wanting to look like a military dictator. There's no reason for this to be happening other than intimidation of the people of Los Angeles, of Californians. There is no legitimate law enforcement justification for this display that we saw today. There's definitely no legitimate military justification for what we saw today. And the governor of California was appropriately outraged. And you should be too, but let's hear what he had to say.
What's happening in MacArthur Park? What theater? On the 6-month anniversary, after all, of these fires, that's the message from the polluted heart of the President of the United States. The polluted heart of Stephen Miller. Those National Guard men and women that were out there protecting people are now being used as political pawns. Out there on horsebacks running through soccer fields in the middle of the day. Timed around announcements and events like this. It says everything you and I need to know about the state of mind of the President of the United States in this administration. So to those that feel torn asunder by everything that's happened over the course of the last 6 months, notably highlighted and reinforced last 6 weeks and over the course of the last 60 minutes and day like today, I want folks to know we have your back and we'll continue to come back and do what we can to protect our diverse communities, to protect the spirit that defines the best of this city and our state, and to push back against this cruelty. To push back against this cruelty that is being perpetuated by the President of the United States.
I know I keep saying this a lot lately, but I want you to understand that what happened in MacArthur Park is not normal. Trump wants to normalize him being able to do whatever he wants with our military service members. He wants to normalize intimidation wherever he wants to inflict it. He wants to normalize his illegal actions, and we have got to tell ourselves, tell our friends and family, remind each other that this is not normal. In the United States of America, if Joe Biden, if Barack Obama had done this in the United States of America, what would the reaction be? This is not normal. Do not let it be normalized. It should not be this way. It does not have to be this way. We can stop it and we can restore our democracy.